Everybody, it's Steph from the Hot Moon Podcast. So Doc Rivers has been getting cooked on TV today by a lot of the big guys for what he had to say. For his, he said that he's been unfairly criticized for blowing 3-1 leads. And man, I've bashed Doc Rivers, quite a few times, man. And look, man, I can, on the macro, is Doc Rivers a bad coach? I can sit back and just temper my emotions and be like, you know what, he's a good coach. He's done a lot. Okay, he has won a championship, even though, he's eaten off that championship longer than who God knows who. It's just so long, right? Hasn't been to an NBA Finals since 2010. Okay, we know the whole situation with the Milwaukee Bucks, how he got the job, being a consultant, and it seemed like he undercut Adrian Griffin and getting the job right away after he got fired when they were 30-13, right? But what people are getting on him for saying this is that why are you talking about being criticized for being up 3-1, 3-2, right? You blew that series against the Clippers. Against the Houston Rockets in 2015. Okay, in 2003, I was like, in 2003, Tracy McGrady, Tim Duncan, my two favorite players at that particular time, and then I started really liking Kobe later on. But I remember that Detroit series as a kid, man. I was like, yo, I was really rooting for Tracy McGrady, and he blew that, right? Okay, the bubble game, in the bubble series against the Clippers, the Nuggets, blew that, right? A couple years ago, where they were up 3-2 on Boston, blew that, right? When there's disappointment and when there's expectations and you expect massive failure at the end, Doc Rivers' face is attached to it, and that's the reality of it. I'm not going to put everything on Doc. It's a team game. It's a coaching game, right? Players do have to step up in big moments and can't fold. Guys got to step up. Ben Simmons got to shoot, James Harden got to come through at times, They blew that 3-2 lead against Miami in 2012. I'm scratching my head at what Doc Rivers is saying over here, because it's like, yo, and you weren't really in the spotlight right now, right? Your team is fifth, has a chance to get the 4th seed. You sneak in, get the 4th seed, and see what happens, right? Indiana drops. Maybe you can win that series against Indiana. And see what you can do, you kind of been on the radar. There's been so much talk about just the bigger teams, Boston, Cleveland, LA, OKC, Denver. There's been other teams that the league has been, or media has been paying attention to, and not too much focus on you guys, even though you guys lost a bad game to us the other night. I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, right? This was a chance for Doc Rivers to shut his mouth and just quietly just coach, go into the postseason, try to sneak that 4th seed, right? And shock some people. Instead, you got to open your mouth. And and to be fair, maybe he's answering the question, but sometimes all questions don't need to be answered, but hey, look, my resume speaks for itself. I definitely take it to heart, of knowing just kind of some of the disappointing series I've had. And I'm just looking forward to every year is an opportunity for me to try to correct that, as long as I'm a head coach in the NBA, coaching some of the greatest players in the NBA. And to that point, he has coached some of the greatest players in the NBA this game has ever seen. He's coached Giannis He's currently coaching Giannis and Dame. He's coached James Harden. He's coached Joel Embiid. He's coached Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, right? Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo. The list goes on. Tracy McGrady, the guys, the list goes on, and the amount of talent that this man has coached. My basketball knowledge doesn't go too far back. But I'm curious in terms of, who are some of the, which coaches coach a plethora of Hall of Fame talent after Hall of Fame talent than Doc Rivers? Who has? Right? So it's not only that you're blowing these leads in these series, and I know, the players got to take some accountability, but you are the head coach. Your name is still tied to every single one of these blown disasters. And you've coached Hall of Fame player after Hall of Fame player after Hall of Fame player, right? I don't know who's been gifted more talented players in their coaching career than Doc Rivers, and has so little to show for it, right? We gotta be real with this here. Not good. It's sad to see Doc Rivers talk like this. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of guys, you know, I heard Shannon Day saying that, yo, like, listen, if you're a champion, why are you, or Stephen A too, like, you're a champion, why are you speaking like this? Right. You're a championship coach, and you need to still have the championship mentality. It's a defensive mentality is what it is. You know, he's only saying this because he knows it's true, right? He's only addressing the narrative because you know that narratives don't come out of nowhere. There's some level of truth to it. And, you know, we have visual receipts of these so and so narratives of Doc Rivers, you know? Life ain't fair. I understand all that. You know, should Doc Rivers get criticized as hard as he's got? But I mean, but I think the criticism has been fair. I think considering he's always gotten the good jobs. You know, so I think it's fair to criticize. And you've always had some of the best players in the league. So yes, it is fair because a lot of coaches don't get the opportunities. Number one, from an organizational standpoint, and have the chance to coach a lot of players that he's coached. So the criticism is warranted. It is not, criticism is not unfair, in my opinion. Is actually valid. Is more than valid. It's stamped, proven, sealed that this has been your legacy. Now, could you change something this year? Could you get to an Eastern Conference Finals, max? Could you shock the world and go to NBA Finals? That remains to be seen. It's possible. It's on the table. Anything can happen in the NBA playoffs. But your track record has shown that you can't get it done, and you're not going to this season. You know, what a shame for Doc Rivers to be speaking like this, where we already know the truth. The criticism is not unfair. It's valid. And this is who you've been. There's always a chance to correct it, but I mean, you're not getting any younger as a head coach. You know, are you still able to connect with young players, right? Are you still part of that old school, you know, and adapt and evolve? You've been gifted this team. They fired Griffin. You get to coach Giannis and Dame, and look where you're at. Struggling to be a top 4 seeded team. Crazy, man. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'm out.